One of the most important things as an entrepreneur that you need to be able to do is communicate your message. Well, if that is something that you want to learn about, which everybody should, you need to check out today's podcast. I had Jen and Ryan from LoveSync, which ironically is a communication tool for couples and for couples sexy times. You got to check this out. It was so much fun, and their product, in my opinion, is genius. You definitely want to check out today's podcast. Jen and Ryan, thank you guys so much for being part of the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So I want to talk about everything LoveSync here, but for the listeners that are out there, you guys were a season 11, episode 11, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And your
Yes.
product is LoveSync, which again, to me is one of the most brilliant, as a married person, one of the most brilliant things I've seen on the show for a married couple. But before I talk about how much I love it, why don't you guys give us like the real quick elevator pitch for LoveSync? And because like I said, I think it's brilliant.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So LoveSync is available as a free mobile app and also as a set of bedside buttons. And it is a communication tool that is meant to enhance the romantic communication for couples, just like technology has enhanced communication in all other aspects of our life.
So just to give a really quick synopsis here. Okay, again, I'm married. I've had a long day. My wife's had a long day. Not really sure, like who's in the mood, who's not in the mood, those types of things. It's definitely not one of those big romantic nights, but it's a maybe night, right? So I either go on the app or I press the button, and that indicates that I am interested in possibly having some romantic, some marriage times. We'll call it whatever you want to call it.
Some sexy time.
Sexy times, naughty times, whatever. So,
Yeah.
and
And the important takeaway there, right, is that your partner doesn't know that at the time that you put it in, right?
So really low risk. Like I'm just
Yep.
saying, hey, if you're in, I'm in, kind of thing, right? So she doesn't know until the other person presses their button. If they press their button or go, click yes on the app or whatever, that means that kind of indicates to both of us, hey, it's we're good to go. Is that the kind of the premise?
Yep, you got it.
You got it. We call it like matching private desires. LoveSync does it for your sexual desire for each other, but it's like you could really think of it, and it's a technology that we now have a patent on, but you can really think of it in any situation where you're privately wanting to do something, but you're afraid to propose it to the other party without knowing how they might take it. But it gives people the ability to kind of put it out there privately, and only in the situations where both parties are thinking the same thing are they then notified about it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think for some reason was so lost on the Sharks, and maybe it's just because, no one ever rejects them. I have no idea. But one of the things for me as a guy is I don't want to be rejected by my wife, even if it's for completely legitimate reasons, right? I don't want to go, hey, honey, are you? And she's like, nope. Or, what I mean? She doesn't sound like that. She's very pleasant about it. But for whatever reason, right? There's, she's tired or not feeling well or, just not in the mood. That's a blow to my ego. It really is. And so this is just low risk. Like there's no blow to my ego. If I'm not putting it out there, I'm not I'm not anticipating anything. It's just if it works, it works. Brilliant. It's brilliant. Right. I'm telling you, if nothing else to protect our fragile male egos, it's brilliant.
Exactly.
From the other side, certainly, yeah, there's that advantage. But from the other side, for the partner that's not initiating, it really it lowers the risk for them too, because they don't always want to be the one who has to say, no thanks or not tonight. So it kind of it removes that. There's no pressure on them, so you as the initiator know that if your partners push their button, they're really into it. They're just not kind of going through the motions. And then it also just, yeah, and it allows them not to have to say they're not interested.
So I have this vision in my head of, again, if it's been a couple days or something like that, like my wife coming home and the button sitting on the pillow. I've moved it over from the nightstand to her pillow. But anyway, but no, I like I said, I think it's uh
Right.
let's talk about your experience on the show, because I don't think that the Sharks got it. I really, I really don't. But talk about the show a little bit, how it went for you guys.
Mhm. And it's not shocking too. We're finding that they didn't get it because as simple as the concept would seem to be, it really is, I don't know, in some ways revolutionary, or just nobody can really relate it to something else. Like there's not anything else in communication, I guess, that people can directly relate it to. So we find it a lot that people don't quite get it. And the Sharks were no different, and they really kind of hammered home, or kind of beat us up on. Well, just roll over and tell them you want to do it, or I
Yeah,
think you're very right.
I
Like they
think
never get a no, so why
Yeah.
why do they care?
right. Yeah,
Uh,
we found it just generally a really polarizing, like technology in the bedroom. It still seems to be just a very polarizing topic. And people like yourself, you either get it and you love it, or you don't, and you think that it's got no place in the bedroom.
yeah, and we're destroying communication and relationships, right? It's already a problem. People are always on their phones or texting. They're not communicating, and we're making it worse or something. Is sometimes what we hear, and it's like, man, like if anything, we really think it's the total opposite that we're trying to do here, because people are so distracted with everything else that we need to eliminate as many barriers as possible to actual real human
Connection.
connection and physical interaction. So, man, any chance to like make it a bit easier to have those moments, why not?
Yeah, and from my side, again, just looking, outside looking in, every time that a different form of communication has come, there's always been pushback, right? So, radio was going to kill books, and TV was going to kill radio, and then the internet was going to kill TV. There's just evolutions of communication, and if there's a way to make your relationship better in any way, I don't know why anyone would just immediately disregard it. That seems very short-sighted.
Yeah, we relate it to online dating. Back in the
When we
nine
were dating.
right, the 90s, right? You met people by going to a bar or being introduced by your friends, and online dating came out, and for a long time it had such a stereotype that there are only creepy people on there, and you're only going to meet some guy who's living in his parents' basement. But now it's the number one way that people meet. And so it took some time for that to really catch on and become mainstream, and that's really where we see LoveSync going. I think it's going to take a little time, but I think just the sexual wellness category as a whole is really at the cusp of exploding, and so we're excited to be a part of that.
So this is just a funny, not related story at all. But the song, "Do You Like Pina Coladas?" The song where they talk about putting
Yeah.
a personal ad in. I have kids that are married with kids in their 20s, in their mid late 20s, have no idea what that song is about. And so anyway, it just kind of made me think of the just the evolution of dating. Where again, to your point, first of all, it was, you meet in church or at a bar or something, then it was personal ads in the paper, and then it was online dating, and who knows what's in the future. This is just another evolution of couple communication that, like I said, I'm a believer. I'm ordering some buttons. That'll be a fun conversation with my wife. Like, hey,
Yeah. What's
but
this on the nightstand?
yeah.
And the other point that it reminded me of, as Jen brings up online dating, is like, look at how many apps. It's like every month there's a new app for a different way to meet somebody, like for a hookup or to meet a new person, right? They're making it. There's so much technology right now making it easier to like find somebody new,
Mhm.
that it's no wonder that relationships are lasting shorter than ever, because it's like, I'm tired of this person. And it's so easy to find the next person. I'm going to do that,
Yep.
But what tools are actually out there to like help people stay
Stay
together,
together.
and find the same kind of excitement that they had by swapping, swiping left and right, to get that kind of excitement, with the person that they're with.
Yeah, and even if even if you have an incredibly healthy sex life and all that stuff, again, it can be a fun thing. It doesn't have to be,
Exactly.
it doesn't have to be a negative thing, and then truthfully, it shouldn't be. And I mean, some of it is society is still trying to catch up as far as communicating about sex and things like that. We're um, even in my generation, I'm in my, late 40s now. There's still like, you don't talk about that. Like, don't talk about sex in
Mhm.
public. That's crazy. And then there's, the other side of it where some of it just, sex is so out there that it almost kind of turns people off because they're so blatant with the conversation. So I think that it's just a
Totally.
nice, what you guys have there is just it's a nice cross between the two, and it also, like I said, it might be part of why you guys are getting some pushback, is just because it's not so blatant and it's not so secret either. You guys are
Mhm.
kind of like in this like nice middle spot, which I like I said is good.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been interesting, with Shark Tank, the number of kind of script tweaks and rewrites of our pitch and whatever that we kind of had to go through, because they had to keep getting reviewed by the lawyers. And Shark Tank is owned by Disney
Right.
ultimately, right? And so the lawyers had to screen the word usage, and even on the day of our pitch. And I don't
Mhm.
think this is too like behind the scenes
Yeah.
that we can't reveal it, but even on the day of the pitch, they realized in uh, in our opening line, we said
Mhm.
that after a date night, we all know that nights like that might finish with a happy ending.
Yes, I
And
noticed that, and you said
it
end
just was
or
a little
something
bit of
like
it,
that, right?
and and
Yeah, they made us
they made
change
us change
it.
it to just a happy end.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
that was right before, yeah,
So
we went
that's
out there.
that's just how society, that we're still teetering on, you know
I think that is so funny because
what's
again, going through everything that we've gone through at Shark Tank, going through all that stuff. When you said that, I was like, they made him say it that way. Like that's exactly what went through my head. And
yeah.
again, just
So we
to
were shocked that they considered us we're shocked that they even considered us for the show, given the
Yeah.
the context. So,
so you guys went on again. Just if you're listening, season 11, episode 11, you definitely want to check out. It was a fun episode. Um, the Sharks didn't quite get it. And one of the things that they talked about was communication. That you guys are having, in their opinion, some struggles communicating the idea and kind of getting the message out. And before the show, we were talking about that as a kind of a critical lesson that some of the listeners might be able to take from this, that the communication, you have the best thing in the world, and if you're not communicating it, you don't have the message out there, it will really slow down your progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been one of the biggest learnings that we've had, when we kind of when had this idea, we were like, oh, sex sells, like everyone's gonna love it. um and it's proven to be yeah, not that easy. And really trying to find the messaging that really hits home with people, and help, allows them to understand what value LoveSync can bring to their relationship, and really keep them listening long enough to really understand how it works, is just kind of been a constant process for us.
Yeah, I mean the basics of kind of pitching, what's the problem, how do you solve the problem, and how do you make money, that's kind of that's I guess the basics of pitching is not as easy as people think that it is, because we as entrepreneurs, as inventors, whatever the case may be, we know our baby inside and out. But when you're trying to verbalize it, man, is that tough sometimes. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And even just down to like the specific word use. We learned in our Kickstarter campaign, we use the word anonymous. um, and for good or for bad, I think it got called out and it got us some attention, which is a good thing. But it also led to some misunderstandings into how the product worked. And so, I think the importance really, vetting your messaging, either by like focus groups or online social media before you're launching, is invaluable. So you can really understand how it's coming across, because right, like you said, we're so close to the product, and that it's hard to see how, or to know how others will perceive it.
Yeah, I had a young gentleman who came for advice. After Shark Tank, people reach out and stuff like that. Came for advice, and I was sitting on a Zoom call with him, and went through the 45 minutes of him talking about his invention. And at the end, I'm like, I have to stop you because I still don't get it. Like, I still don't understand what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. Like, you have to get it down to the basics. You know what I mean? And that is so it is. It's just so difficult to get it to that point where anybody can understand it. And to your point, vetting
Right.
it out with a bunch of different types of groups is really important.
Yeah, and
And don't use your family and friends. I mean, you can try them, but they're not going to tell you the truth.
yeah,
Yeah.
It depends on how your family and friends are, but yeah.
after Shark Tank and our Kickstarter, we were lucky enough to be involved with a local incubator. And so we were a cohort that was part of a software accelerator, and that really did give us the opportunity to hone some of our messaging. There were other entrepreneurs in the group with us, and we were connected with several different mentors. And so, yeah, that was really helpful just in terms of getting other people's perspectives on how they see LoveSync, and the value it provides to them, and then how the messaging comes across. But yeah, it's harder. I think one thing we've learned is it's harder to say less. It's you always think it's going to be hard to like put a big essay together, but it's actually harder to really pare it down and get to the so what, and say in fewer words.
So was your experience with Shark Tank like mine, where they were like, "Hey, we want you to tell your little pitch. We want you to write it out, but it has to be down to like 3 minutes." And I wrote it out. It was like 6 pages long, right? The whole thing. And they're like, "Okay,
Yes.
read it to me." The producers, they're like, "Read it to me," and they're like, "Yeah, that was like 8 minutes. You have to get it down to three by next week." And by the time I was all done, I went from 6 pages to half a page was my entire pitch. And that was so painful. And I actually needed a lot of help, outside people like helping me, because I couldn't do it. Like, I just could not, my perception of what I was trying to accomplish would not allow me to get it as short as it needed to be. Did you guys have a similar experience?
Yeah, definitely. I think right, as
We
founders
we
and
started at 20 minutes.
right, as founders and creators, of course we love what we created, and we want to tell the world everything about it. And so yeah, it was a struggle to really pare it down.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, do you really need that line? And like, yeah, well, that's really important.
Yeah, we think
They gotta
everything's
know.
important.
They gotta know that. Yeah. So yeah, no. The process again though was amazing and valuable. It really makes you rethink, like, okay, yeah, what is the core value of what we're doing here? Why is it a good business? Yeah, if you can't describe it in 2 minutes, you might not really have a good handle on it.
Yeah. So, one of the things you had mentioned was an incubator program. Certainly, everybody who's listening, you guys should, if you have a business that you want to start, or a small business, or an app that you're trying to develop, almost every city has an incubator program or multiple incubator programs. They are so valuable. I was part of one about 20 years ago, and with the company I was with back then. Oh my gosh, almost 30 years ago now. But it really helped out a lot. They had a lot of resources that we would not have been able to do on our own. And then there's just that outside influence, people speaking into your business that just want you to succeed, and they don't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak. Their opinion isn't skewed in any way. They're just going to tell you the truth. And wow, it's really, really valuable.
Yeah, and I think just being around, others that are going through the same thing, kind of it keeps your energy going. It keeps you positive, keeps you moving forward. And yeah, like you said, there's so many resources, because there's so many things that you learn you have to figure out, after you've already started down this road. And so just having some access to, legal services, or investment, or, so on, they're a great resource for that.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for this. Tell us how we can download the app, buy the buttons, all that stuff. Because again, if you're listening and you want some awesome mommy and daddy time, you guys should check out LoveSync 100%. So tell us how we can do that.
So if you just visit our website at lovesync.com, LOVESYNC, you can purchase the buttons, or you can download the app. Like I said, it's a free download for both Apple and Google.
Awesome. Well, I really look forward to seeing what you guys do with this. I really hope that more and more couples take advantage of this tool, of this way of helping for them to communicate. It's not a hindrance. It is not a substitute. It's just one more tool in your toolbox. And so I hope everybody gives it a try. So
thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you guys. And good luck with everything.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Lessons from the Tank. If you got value from today's podcast, we encourage you to subscribe to the podcast so you're notified when a new episode is posted. If you'd like to support our podcast, we encourage you to review it and share it with a friend. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode.